Est-ce que ça marche? Oui, ça marche. Parfait. Est-ce que ça marche aussi? Test. Test, test. Test, test. Okay. Test. Moi j'entends pas, moi, c'est ça le problème. Test, 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 test. 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 Test, test. On va faire l'ordi et puis basta, comme ça sera fait. Test. Test. Aïe aïe. Bon. Alors ça marche. Est-ce que ça marche? Est-ce que ça marche? Ça me saoule. Le son. Bizarre ça. Là ils entendent rien par contre. Est-ce que ça marche là? Attends, voilà. Ça, je ne sais pas.
Hello, Aurelian.
Hello.
How are you? Good to see you.
Yes, you see me? Yes, it's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
fine, perfect.
Okay. I'm checking YouTube as well.
Okay.
Yes, we are on YouTube. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
I
I will just check on my students, but they probably are coming in the next minutes, okay?
Okay, that's fine, yeah. We'll check with the colleagues if the sound is okay as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Yes. Hello, Leyla. So this is my colleague. Oh, sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Hello, Professor. How are you? Nice meeting you.
I'm good, Professor. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Thank you very much. How is the weather in the Netherlands?
It's pretty good, actually. Really sunny.
Oh, that's good.
How is the weather in Brazil?
It's cold. It's cold for us, Brazil.
Oh, really?
But I mean, at about 18 degrees Celsius. That is cold for us.
I think it's about 12 degrees here, and it's pretty warm.
Yeah, I know
the
that.
Dutch standards.
We usually are in The Hague in May, so we get used
Yes,
to
of course.
beautiful weather during this time of the year. It's really nice. Nice
Well,
meeting
hopefully
you.
next year you'll
For
be
sure.
back in The Hague.
For sure. Hello, Matheus. Are you listening?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. It's a great honor to be part of the competition.
We really look forward to your performances.
As I told Aurelian, previously, Professor Leyla, we organized ourselves in the same format as the other matches. So we have 3 students, but we will participate with 2 finalists. Okay, because the other
Right,
2
yes.
in the previous years, the format was based on 2 students on each side. But we have 3 because we thought about the possibility of a student having a failure in its connection, in his or her connection, or may get sick because of the pandemic crisis we are living. So we decided to have a delegation of 3. And Matheus is the student who will not be speaking today, but he took part in all our preparation and studies. And fortunately, he will be joining us next year live at The Hague.
Great.
Hello, Augusto.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Leyla. Good afternoon, Professor Laurent.
Hello. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Yeah. So we are waiting for our students as well. So you are on YouTube, just for you to know.
Bernardo is getting in as well. So the 2 oralists are Bernardo Leal and Augusto Jesus.
Okay.
I'm already here.
Bernardo, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Hello.
Good afternoon, professors. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So Aurelian, I will maintain my microphone off. Okay, if you need me, I'm here.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Hello, Mr. Wiest.
Hello.
Hello, so this is one of our students, just connected.
Hello, Mr. Wiest. How are you? Nice meeting you. My name's Lorena.
Hi. Yeah, you can just address me as Alex. That's fine.
Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hey, Alex. How are you doing?
Doing okay. I mean, this is a more hearty welcome than the last time, so that's nice.
Good afternoon, Alex.
No, but the
Good
others.
afternoon.
Oh,
So Mr. Qazi,
Yes,
yes, so welcome.
thank you very much.
I don't see your camera yet. but-
I'm just hold on a minute. Good now.
Excellent. We can see you now.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Qazi. How are you? Nice meeting you.
Yes, pleasure likewise. I'm really nice.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Thank you too.
Good afternoon, yeah, you too.
Mr. Ploeger?
he's on his way.
Yeah,
Oh, he's already
There he is. Okay.
I see him connected.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Ploeger.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Ploeger. How are you?
Good
Nice
afternoon.
meeting you. Good afternoon.
Likewise.
Good afternoon.
Honor being here.
As well. Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure for us as well. Thank you.
So now we are waiting for the organizers as well. Marie? Marie's online?
I think the others are coming too.
Okay.
Should be.
Yeah.
Bow's already here.
Yes. I see that you have your dog as well. Nice.
Yeah.
Anna is online as well. Bao is online as well. So for everybody, I will of course announce everybody. I will give the names and of course present the tournament to everybody watching on YouTube as well. Just for you to know, Dr. Lindout is watching. I guess some professors as well in Brazil are watching. I know that some colleagues as well are watching. Just for you to know is that during the match it will be the organizers, I mean, who will tell the time, give the floor, etc. Myself, I will just take care of the stream because I will have to communicate with the judge as well. So the judges are watching from France, from Belgium and from Malta. Two of them are, I think 3 of them are watching it. So you have a vice dean from France who is watching it. You have a lawyer from Malta who is watching it, and you have a business manager from Belgium, from Brussels, who is watching it as well. So they do not actively participate, but of course they will assess the match. As it has been previously said by Professor Bastianetto, on the side of Dom Elder there will be 2 participants, and on the side of the Hague University there will be 3 participants. We do not take into account in the assessment in the points if there are 2 or 3. Huh? So as you know, during our internal tournament as well in the Hague, there were also 2 students in some teams. But you are 3 and you are 2, so what we'll assess is a general performance, of course, of each team. The judge, they received their grading sheet some days ago. So normally this evening or tomorrow they will issue their results for each team. So I will announce already the name of the participants, and as well when you hear your name, please say that you are here so everybody will see you on the screen as well. Wait a second. So on the side of Dom Elder Law School, we have Mr. Matheus, Mendonca, Ribeiro, Nepomuceno.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. We have as well Mr. Bernardo Leal.
Here.
And we have Mr. Augusto Sergio Lima Jesus.
It's an honor to be here, Professor.
Yes. On the side of the University of Applied Science, the law program, we have Mr. Qazi.
Yes, I'm present.
We have Mr. Coen Ploeger.
I'm here.
And we have Mr. Alexander Wiest.
Also here.
So the coach for this match are Professor Lorena Bastianetto.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much for having us.
And the coach on the side of the Hague University is Miss Leyla Gayibova.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much for the organization. Looking forward to the match.
So now, I think it's time we will start. So we'll give the floor to the organizers. So Miss Bautran, Miss Marike Agradeni, and Miss Anna Falkiewicz, who disappeared but will come back. Yeah. So Bao or Marie, would you like to start?
Yes, I would like to start. Welcome everybody from the University of Montana.
Could
we
you
enter university match. Can you all hear me?
A bit better, yes.
Yes, okay. To enter university match of the Hague Bay tournament, 5th edition 2020. And I would like to briefly go over the rules of the debate tournament. Each team will have 10 minutes in total to present their opening statement and arguments. We will start with the pros team for 4 minutes of opening statement, and we will move on to the cons team. And each team will have 2 minutes for each argument and 6 minutes in total for the arguments. And I will time, me and Mariaka will time, and once there are 20 seconds left, I will raise one of my hands, and when there is no time left, I will raise two of my hands. And please keep close look to the time, because you cannot exceed the time limit even if you're in the middle of the presentation. Yeah. And now I would like to, Mariaka will find a coin. Mariaka, do you have a coin next to you? Mariaka? In order to decide who's going to present first, we will flip the coin. The head would be the pros and the cons would be hell. Give me a second, sorry.
You there, Belle?
Yes, do you have a coin?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, so please, Dom Heller School, which side would you choose, the head or the tail? Can somebody...
We choose heads.
Choose heads.
The head would be the pro. Yeah, your head? Okay. Mariaka, would you mind flipping the coins? Oh, her internet is...
Heads.
Head. So Dom Heller School would be the pro position, and you guys will start first. Yes, so I would like to announce that I'm sorry, I would like to announce the composition of the judge panel first, because this is important. We have Dr. Aurélien Racca, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Law of Catholic University of Lille from France, Ms. Paula Menapo, Vice Manager of the Embassy of Australia to the EU, and we have Ms. Jessica Galea, lawyer at Dingley and Dingley in Malta. And now I would like to announce that the match starts. Yes, please.
May I proceed?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Augusto Jesus, and along with my colleague Bernardo Leal, I will defend that autonomous weapons are legal under international law. The fundamental premise on which we base our arguments is that autonomous systems cannot simply be labeled unlawful. In fact, they are perfectly legal if they are able to adhere to the principles and rules of jus ad bellum and jus contra bellum. Firstly, an autonomous system must, in order to be compatible with jus contra bellum, be capable of analyzing a person's behavior and determining if he or she takes part in a hostility. Nevertheless, this should not be considered as a negative aspect. Human soldiers must equally comply with this requirement, and there is a consensus that human force is not without error in the battlefield. In addition, an autonomous system is considered legal if it allows some degree of human control over the system, translating the intention of the commander into the operation of the weapon. And as it is known worldwide, there is no fully autonomous weapon currently in operation. In this way, the greater predictability and certainty of these systems, the lower risk in violation to international humanitarian law. As indicated by the European Defence Agency, Perform assessment has shown that through coordinated unmanned vehicles, even complex tasks could be handled autonomously, reducing human losses. Certainly, autonomous weapons may present failures, although with a simple analogy it is possible to deviate this argument. All those who drive cars in every state traffic department know that most accidents are not due to technical, but human failures. In this sense, unpredictability cannot for itself satisfy as a condition for an autonomous system to be illegal under international law. Secondly, there must be a clear distinction between an armed attack and the use of force. As indicated by the International Court of Justice in the Nicaragua versus United States case, not every use of force rises to the level of an armed attack. The crime of aggression is described in Resolution 3314 of 1974 of the UN General Assembly as the use of armed force by a state against the sovereignty, territorial integrity, or political independence of another state. Within this definition, the violation to Article 2, paragraphs 4 and 6 of the UN Charter may constitute an act of aggression, and consequently, an armed attack. However, what we must take into consideration is that not every use of an autonomous system per se would be classified as aggression. Indeed, their use can be a legitimate use of force. As an example, it is arguably comprehensive, the legality of installing autonomous systems on borders between states to handle with cross-border crime, trafficking, and other issues. The key factor in this situation is the inexistence of an armed attack. The International Court of Justice in the oil platforms case equally defended this statement, since at that time there was no concentrated attack, but merely isolated acts, which constituted the use of force of Iran. Border autonomous systems follow the same reasoning, since there is no act directed against any state. The system carries solely the character of a use of force, and once it cannot be identified an armed attack, there is no violation to the UN Charter nor to the prescriptions of jus contra bellum. Finally, we outline the importance of avoiding general prohibitions, albeit the need to not subject once again the international community to the scourges of war. We firmly believe in the legality of autonomous systems. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would like to give the floor to the team from the Hague University. Please proceed.
Honorable judges, distinguished colleagues. I'm Alexander Wiest and my colleagues are Qazi and Coen Ploeger. We're here today to debate whether the use of autonomous weapons controlled by artificial intelligence by states is legal according to international law. We strongly believe that it is not legal. The US Department of Defense defines an autonomous weapon system as a weapon system that, once activated, can select and engage targets without further intervention by a human operator. We believe that the use of autonomous weapons by states is not legal according to international law because of 4 reasons. Reason number 1, the use of autonomous weapons violates the basic principle of distinction. The principle of distinction between lawful and unlawful targets has been described as an intransgressible principle of customary law by the International Court of Justice. A leading expert on robotics, Professor Noel Sharkey, says that the problem with modern robotics is there's no way a robot can discriminate between a civilian and a soldier. They can just about tell the difference between a human and a car. Apart from these technical aspects, autonomous weapons also inherently lack the human qualities of reading emotions, intention, and understanding context, all of which are necessary in distinguishing between combatants and non-combatants. Reason number 2. The use of autonomous weapons violates the principles of proportionality and military necessity. The International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia has argued that human consideration is necessary to assess whether the use of force would be proportionate. Therefore, a machine which intrinsically lacks the complex thought mechanisms of a human cannot decide what is proportionate and what is not. Autonomous weapons can furthermore not properly assess military necessity. For example, whether a person is hors de combat or not. Reason number 3. The use of autonomous weapons violates the Martens Clause. The Martens Clause is laid down in the 1907 Hague Convention, as well as in the additional protocols of the Geneva Conventions. It provides that weapons and means of warfare, which have not been explicitly regulated or prohibited by international treaties, are not automatically permitted. Instead, the laws of humanity and the dictates of the public conscience, on the other hand, must be considered. This applies to emerging technologies like autonomous weapons. The principle of humanity is a cornerstone of humanitarian law. It has been described as being central to the human condition, and a principle which stipulates that all humans have the capacity and ability to show respect and care for all, even their sworn enemies. Being intrinsically linked to the human spirit and human dignity, The principle of humanity cannot be followed by artificial intelligence. Moreover, autonomous weapons raise concerns in regards to fundamental human rights, such as the right to life, which prohibits the arbitrary deprivation of an individual's life. As for the dictates of public conscience, there are surveys and polls that indicate a large part of society is opposed to the idea of employing autonomous weapons in combat. A prevalent fear is also that they run contrary to morality. And reason number 4, autonomous weapons raise problems of accountability. Robots themselves cannot be held accountable because they don't have legal personality. Because of the intrinsic nature of artificial intelligence, them learning and developing on their own, humans will be unable to reconstruct or understand each and every decision they take. Even when given the right parameters and without apparent malfunctions, autonomous weapons will make mistakes and will kill civilians. In such cases, no individual fault can be established and no one will be held accountable. To recap, the use of autonomous weapons violates the principle of distinction, proportionality, military necessity, the Martens Clause, and it raises serious problems of accountability. Therefore, it is illegal under international law. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Now we would like to proceed with the argumentation. I would like to give the floor to Dom Heather, the law school team. Thank you.
Proceed. We appreciate the counterpart's speech and comprehend their arguments. Undeniably, international accountability may be an issue regarding the possible practice of wrongful act. Regardless of what can be drawn in this field, the ability to assign personal accountability is not a requirement for the legality of a weapon, as no disposition in either of the 4 Geneva Conventions determine so. What is certain in international criminal law is that efforts to impose individual liability in the name of deterrence and future acts may actually prove to be counterproductive. However, responsibility for the consequences caused by autonomous systems is easily identified. In fact, any commander who decides to launch such systems is, as with any other weapon, accountable under international law. Likewise, if the system does not operate within the boundaries of specified parameters, the manufacturer will be held responsible. Another option would be to consider the programmer as a guarantor obliged to intervene in wartime to avoid violations to international humanitarian law. In the matter of state responsibility, we urge your excellencies to follow the ruling given by the International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in Tadic. The court indicated that accountability of states depends solely on an overall control, in a scenario where a state will be responsible for the employment of autonomous weapons by any individual perpetrating against international law. In the sense, the notion that there is something intrinsic about these weapons that impedes accountability is simply false. In this scenario of advancement of technology, attempts to impose a straight prohibition to the use of autonomous systems will certainly not thrive. On the contrary, it is better to develop norms to control them rather than banning them outright. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would like to give the floor to the team from the Hague University. You may proceed.
Thank you. The fully autonomous weapon systems raise some issues regarding the principle of distinction, which is, as given in Article 51 of the Additional Protocol 1 to the Geneva Conventions, the acts that do not distinguish between combatants and non-combatants are indiscriminate. Fully autonomous weapons would not have the ability to sense or interpret the difference between soldiers and civilians, especially in contemporary combat environments. Stockholm International Peace Research Institute has said that the inability of fully autonomous weapons to interpret intentions and emotions would be a significant obstacle to compliance with the rule of distinction. Foremost, robots will not have adequate sensors to answer the binary question of, is an individual a combatant? Modern warfare has changed considerably in the past. It is often impossible to distinguish if a person in question does not wear any physical markings such as insignia or uniform. Additionally, autonomous weapon system lacks human emotions and the accompanying quality to read intentions and to understand context. robots cannot read human intentions and are thereby enabled to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants in situations where a combatant may become ordered to combat. While robotics may achieve effective sensory and visual discrimination in certain narrow contained circumstances, human-level discrimination with adequate common sense reasoning for situational awareness would appear to be computationally unimaginable. My opponents raised the argument that as of now, there are no fully developed autonomous weapon systems, but that in the future they will.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but their time is up. I would like to
apologies.
give the floor to John Heather Law School team. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we congratulate our colleagues for their presentation. Nonetheless, we firmly believe that high technology, cannot be feared as a danger to civilians. The emergence of technology is inevitable, and advances in artificial intelligence will create an environment where the development of defensive capabilities will be mandatory. In reality, autonomous systems are not exempted from the law applicable to weapons, as we can deduct from the Article 36 of the Additional Protocol to the Geneva Convention. As any other system, they must pass through intensive testing to assure compliance with international humanitarian law. Moreover, states deploying robots must give clear instructions to their operators and commanders as to when and under what circumstances they may actually be used. Furthermore, this compliance with humanitarian law can be accomplished in the autonomous sphere. In this sense, we underpin a more objective theory for the assessment of proportionality and necessity in international law, defending it is not possible to create international prohibitions based on theoretical assumptions. Only by observing the facts it is possible to identify legality. Thus, these systems must factually fail in observing the legal parameters in order to be considered illegal. Following this reasoning, the International Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in Galić case did not evaluate proportionality from the subjective judgment of the attacker, but from an analysis of the information available in a setup of reality. Within this scenario, an international ban of autonomous systems may actually impede the development of systems that could save lives. The discussion about the legality of weapons must be placed not on a particular technology, but rather on strict adherence to international law. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would like to pass the floor to the Hague University team. You may proceed.
Right, thank you. Just before I start, am I perfectly audible? Okay, thank you very much to my opponents for their arguments. However, I respectfully disagree with the notion that not every use of force amounts to an armed attack. Even if it is not an armed attack, as stated in the Tadic decision of the Appeals Chamber of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, in relation to prohibited means and methods of warfare, it was said, what is inhumane and consequently prescribed in international wars cannot but be inhumane and inadmissible in civil strife. This means that even if autonomous weapons are used in internal strife, police and law enforcement still have to abide by the principles of distinction, proportionality, and necessity, which we argue that autonomous weapons are incapable of conforming to. Talking about proportionality, human judgment is needed to assess proportionality of the use of force. The ICRC, the International Committee of the Red Cross, said in its authoritative commentary that the proportionality test is subjective and must above all be a question of common sense and good faith for military commanders. And this standard of a reasonable military commander is used by numerous international courts. Professor Marco Sassoli, an expert in international humanitarian law, says that autonomous weapons would not be able to comply with the principle of proportionality because the principle requires commanders to weigh expected civilian losses with the anticipated military advantage. And this is a process riddled with inevitably subjective value judgments. And the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia said it's necessary to examine whether reasonably well-informed persons could have expected excessive civilian casualties to result from the attack. Ladies and gentlemen, this assessment is not simply a mathematical calculation, and a machine could never replicate the complicated human psychological process involved in making such a judgment. Moreover, it's impossible to program all such eventualities into a machine. Moreover, I would like to reiterate the importance of the Martens Clause, whereby even if a particular weapon or means of warfare is not prohibited by an international treaty, it can still be found unlawful if it contravenes the principle of humanity or the dictates of public conscience. There are numerous surveys to illustrate that a large amount of the public is opposed to it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but your time is up.
Right.
Thank you for your performance. I would like to pass the floor to Bernardo Law School. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, in the view of all the arguments here brought, we believe that, again, autonomous weapons are legal under international law. It is fundamental to highlight, as stated before, that although it is possible to address issues regarding the violation to international humanitarian law, the discussion on autonomous systems must be diverted from the banning of these weapons to an effort of its regulation. This weaponry is designed based on a solid assumption of reduction of casualties in warfare. Indeed, scientific reports have shown that machines process data into knowledge more effectively than people do. It is time to overcome the primacy of a subjective analysis in the battlefield, as the judgments of autonomous systems would not be clouded by emotions, such as fear or hysteria, and the systems would be able to process much more incoming information than humans, without distorting it to fit preconceived notions of hatred or vengeance. Determination and evaluation of necessity, proportionality, or distinction does not necessarily rely upon a subjective judgment. International humanitarian law does not require subjective value judgments that machines are simply unable to make, but it depends on an objective assessment of facts. In reality, autonomous systems with artificial intelligence, though capable of learning, cannot do what the human beings who created them do not want them to do. Finally, unlike chemical weapons, cluster munitions, or nuclear bombs, there is nothing intrinsic in autonomous weapons that points out to the commission of indiscriminate attacks, nor to the violation of humanity and the dictates of public conscience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would like to give floor to the last argument from the university. You may proceed.
Thank you. The notion was raised that product liability or state responsibility are sufficient accountability mechanisms. However, for product liability, it will be very difficult, often impossible, to establish a causational link between the initial programming of the weapon and decisions that the weapon makes years after its first employment. That is because autonomous weapons learn and develop on their own with data that they collect when they are employed. Therefore, establishing product liability, while it seems simple in theory, is very difficult in practice because the link of causation often does not exist. And the second idea, the second notion brought forward, state responsibility as an accountability mechanism. Well, in an international context, the International Court of Justice would be the adequate forum for addressing violations of international law by states using autonomous weapons. However, we must consider that the ICJ does not have its own enforcement mechanism, which means that in many cases, compensation will not be paid. And there are also severe considerations of conflicting jurisdictions and the jurisdiction of the ICJ in general. Therefore, state responsibility is an unrealistic accountability mechanism to use for all violations of international law by autonomous weapons. Right now, with the current state of technology, the use of autonomous weapons intrinsically violates main principles of humanitarian law as well as the Martens Clause. The problem of accountability is a major roadblock for the legal use of autonomous weapons. While maybe in the far future those weapons will be able to abide by the rules of warfare, this is pure speculation. Right now and for the foreseeable future, the use of autonomous weapons by states is illegal under international law. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So that concludes the inter-university match between Dom Heather Law School and the Hague University of Applied Sciences. We, the organizers of the Hague Debate Tournament, would like to congratulate you all on your excellent performance. And with the presence of the lecturers, our lecturers, Mr. Laurent and Miss Bastianetto, do you have any feedback and Miss Gayibova, would you have any feedbacks or any words to the teams?
Yes, I do. I would like to congratulate you. I think you all did an incredible job, and it was really interesting to watch the debate. And I also think that this topic is really fascinating to lawyers and non-lawyers alike. So I'm sure that your friends will also enjoy watching this round. Well, what I can say is that I was thoroughly impressed with your debating skills, and I think that you should keep up your work, and I'm sure that this topic sparked your interest, so you could perhaps do more research on it. I would also like to take the time to thank everyone for organizing this debate tournament, for participating. I'd like to thank the Brazilian team for putting so much effort into it. I would like to, of course, thank our teams and all the organizers, students, lecturers. Thank you very much. It was an incredible journey for me personally.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank as well, in the name of the Elder Law School, the Hague University, and all the organization for having us and welcoming us for the third year in the Hague debate, with always such interesting and brilliant theses to be discussed. Thank you a lot, especially Professor Lorange and the organization of the Hague debate as well, in order not to have canceled or suspended the Hague debate. It was really important for us to keep studying international law and to have external motivation for our academia. So thank you very much for keeping it, for maintaining it in a remote platform. It was a brilliant initiative. So from our part, we'd like to thank everybody, to thank the Hague University delegation for the excellent presentation, to thank our delegation for all the efforts and for all the studies that have been carried out remotely here in Brazil. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll see each other soon, physically next year. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations to all the students, the Brazilian students, the Dutch students. So yes, so this year it was difficult to organize, of course, the end, but we managed to transform it to have the match online, which helped a lot on many aspects, and especially to open possibilities for next year. So I know that the Vice Dean from Lille is watching, and he already told me that next year he would like to send as well a team to have a match with Elder Law School and with the University of Applied Science. And we are discussing as well with some other universities, but be sure that, of course, next year we'll continue to have such match, maybe more match inter-university-wide, I mean, in a way that Brazilians against French, French against Dutch, Dutch between against Brazilians, etc. And I'm sure that it will show the skills, the oral skills of the Brazilian students, of the Dutch students, and of course the students from other universities for the job market, for exchange of students as well. So I think it is good as well to motivate the students to continue to research on such topics because yeah, this is the future decision makers anyway. So they will make decisions as well on such topics in the future. So thank you again, and the results will come very soon. I know that the judges are already rating me, but they will write, of course, and they will send their grading sheet tonight or at the latest tomorrow morning. So thank you again, and yeah, see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
Everybody.
Great week.
Great meeting you guys.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
It was enjoyable to debate.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Bye. Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you to whoever watching right now by YouTube Live. Thank you.